Hello everyone, welcome to Sounds from the Apartment and to another video for this week. I'm Nikos and this is my caveman lockdown version where I've got like long beard and long hair as well. So this is pretty much a challenge we put on with some friends and we decided not to have a beard trim or a haircut during the lockdown period. So I think it's about 2 months now since we agreed to that challenge and this is the result, so I hope you like it. I hope it didn't scare you at the beginning of this video. So in this video we're going to discuss about Steinberg's AXR4. It's their latest audio interface which they released last year and I've got it for a few months now. I wanted to make this video but I was a bit delayed because I've been doing so many other things. And I know it's not an excuse, but you know, if you try to juggle many balls, sometimes you have to drop some. Anyway, so this interface is supposed to be addressed to the professional users of sound engineering Cubase, and it's a top range interface. It costs about $2,000 and can record at 384 kilohertz at 32-bit, which is fantastic. Although there is a small caveat about the 384 kilohertz recording, but we'll discuss about this in a bit. So thank you for your patience. I know this video is long overdue, but let's go dive into the AXR4 characteristics. So firstly, I'd like to talk about the packaging and the box. I cannot bring you the box right here now because it's massive. And I was seriously overwhelmed when I did see it appear on my door. I was like, what is that? What's in there? But apparently it's just the interface and the power supply and the manual. And that's it. So you're going to tell me why, you know, such a massive box just for, you know, the interface, its power supply and that manual. So the idea is that there's loads of space around the interface, which is filled in with protective foam. So that ensures that interface it's not going to get damaged during transit. So wherever it comes from to you, because obviously it's getting shipped globally, it's not going to get damaged. So it's very, very well packaged, and that foam is doing an absolute great job to keep the interface safe while it's on its way to your studio. So that's a very good work from Steinberg there already. So now Steinberg has obviously put some effort there to put all the components of the interface into one U. And the reason for that is probably because of ventilation. So if you actually look the interface from the top, you can see all the ventilation holes. So if you look through these ventilation holes at the top, you will see all the components and circuits and PCBs of the interface. And I think that's why they didn't stack it, because it would be more difficult when it comes to ventilation, while you have everything in one U with ventilation holes on top of it, and that's the reason why one U is better than 2 U's in this specific occasion. So now let's move to the front panel of the AXR4 and let's see what these magic buttons do. So starting from left to right, you can find our 4 Yamaha hybrid preamps with one selector button for each one of them, and a phantom power 48 volt indicator if the phantom power is on or off. Moving further down to the right, you can find the silk knob, which essentially controls the amount of the silk emulation we are putting into our signal on the selected preamp. And that can be for blue or for red, which comes down to the next 2 buttons, which is the silk preamp on off, which apparently turns it off or on, and then you've got the blue and red, which determines if it's going to be the blue or the red module of the silk emulation. So moving further to the right, you've got 6 buttons, which are the main buttons you will use in order to control your AXR4 interface and access basic functions. So let's go through them and see what each one of them does. So the first one is called CH, and apparently that's an abbreviation from the word channel, and it allows you to access specific settings about each one of the selected channels. So these are all the typical settings we have on our channel strip, which would be phantom power, pad, gain, the silk module, anything that has to do with the channel strip, okay? All these basic functions are in that menu. Next button is the Moni button. And that one actually is an abbreviation from monitoring apparently. And in this one you can actually control your headphone outputs, or their patching, or their routing, or whatever else you want to change. The next button is mute, and it does exactly that actually. So if you press it, it just mutes the interface. Next one is the home/escape button. So this one specifically will allow you to go back into the home menu if you want to, or a level backwards if you are deeper into the menu, into the settings. So use that if you want to go back into the home screen. Next one is the scenes button, and from this one you can actually load or save any custom scenes you want about your AXR4 interface straight from that menu. So the next and final button is setup, and from there you can actually get access to more advanced settings for your AXR and its pretty much global function. So you can change things like the channel link or the clock of the interface itself, or the global high pass filter, or even if let's say you've got like 3 AXR4 devices connected together, because you can do that, you can stack them up, you can control the ID of each specific device from that menu. So loads of things again, advanced settings for your specific setup of your AXR4 devices. Then you've got this fantastic display from Steinberg where you can actually see the metering for each and every one of your inputs and outputs on this interface, which is fantastic. The next one is the master knob, so it allows you to go up and down into the menus, and then if you press it, because it's a button as well, it will allow you to get into that specific section of the menu. So finally, at the far right of the interface, you've got 2 individual headphone outputs with their individual volume knobs as well. And finally, the power switch, which with you can obviously power off your interface. So now let's move a bit to the back panel of the interface and discuss about inputs and outputs. So moving at the back of the interface, the first thing we see is the power supply input, and obviously we will use the power supply that came into the box and Steinberg provided to us. So moving to the right of it, we can actually see the Thunderbolt ICT interface card, which provides 2 Thunderbolt outputs so we can connect the interface to our computer. Now, the AXR4U unit has an ICU interface card there, which provides 2 USB Type-C outputs instead, because this interface, AXR4, comes into 2 versions. The T version, which is a Thunderbolt version, Thunderbolt 2 to be exact, and the U version, which is the Thunderbolt 3 or USB Type-C version. I've got the Thunderbolt version, and this is why obviously you are seeing a Thunderbolt interface there. However, if you look into it a bit more closely, I think this is actually a removable module on the actual interface. I think it's probably easy to remove that and replace it with a USB Type-C version of that module if you want to swap it instead of buying or swapping the whole interface. I'm not sure really, it's not confirmed by Steinberg, I haven't actually done any research on it, but from the looks of it, it looks like if it is removable, and that would be great because it will save you money if you want to make the transition. Moving further down, you can see the word clock input and output, and then you can see the MIDI input and output, which is great. Not many interfaces provide MIDI inputs and outputs at this range, which is weird. I don't know why it's happening, but you've got it here, so make the best out of it. Moving further down, you've got 2 optical sections. Moving from left to right, you can see that the B optical section comes first and has an RS424 input, which is for AES-EBU, and then you've got the 2 ADAT pipelines in and out, which can also carry SPDIF signal. Then moving further down, you've got the optical A section, which only contains the ADAT pipelines, again input and output, but this also can carry SPDIF signal, but you don't have any other options for RS424 or AES-EBU. And then moving further to the right, you've got 8 balanced TRS outputs, which you can use individually or in pairs, and then you've got 8 further inputs, which are balanced TRS again, and that brings the total number of analog inputs up to 12 for this interface, which is incredible. So another thing you need to actually have a look at, apart from the front and the back, is the top. So at the top we can find some ventilation holes, and I would suggest not to put any other device on top of the AXR4. It looks like these holes are there specifically for ventilating the device. So if you block them, the device might overheat. We wouldn't want that, you wouldn't want that. And just to let you know, I had to rearrange my whole rack stack just to make sure that I don't actually block any of these holes with anything. So make sure if you actually buy this interface that it's not blocked by anything on the above you on your rack. So let's have a look now in a few extra components I had to buy to make this interface work with my system. So I'm using a Windows system and I didn't have a Thunderbolt port on my computer, on my motherboard, which is a gigabyte, specifically the Z370XP SLI, which is not a big deal because gigabytes are very stable and I really love the company. Everything I've got from them, motherboards or graphics card, work fantastic. So I wasn't very bothered about it, but obviously I needed to somehow add the Thunderbolt functionality on my motherboard. And Gigabyte makes some expansion slot PCI interface cards that actually give you the Thunderbolt functionality for your motherboard. So what I've done is I decided that I wanted to actually make the most out of it. So I decided to go with a Thunderbolt 3 interface expansion slot card instead of going straight into Thunderbolt 2. So the expansion card I bought is called GC Titan Reads, and it gives me 5 more ports that I can use on my computer. So it's 1 display port, 1 extra display port, 2 mini display ports, and then 2 USB 3 Type-C or Thunderbolt 3 ports. So this is it, and that's how I can connect now my interface to my computer. Oh wait, the AXR4 is Thunderbolt 2. I need a converter. So to resolve that, I bought 2 extra components from StarTech. One is this USB Type-C or Thunderbolt 3 to Thunderbolt 2 adapter. And then I also bought a Thunderbolt 2 to Thunderbolt 2 cable so I can connect the adapter to my interface. And obviously the other end of the adapter goes back into my computer on the GC Titan Reads. At this point I need to make a mention to scan.co.uk. This is where I actually bought all the expansion card and the StarTech components so I can actually connect my interface with my computer. Scan is my go-to place when I want to buy equipment from my computer. That's where I bought actually my motherboard as well, and my graphics card, and my RAM, and my new CPU and everything. They're only a few miles away at Bolton, so I can even go over there, say hi while I'm collecting my equipment. And also they've got audio equipment as well. So if you want to make a big purchase with audio and PC equipment, Scan is your place to go. And by the way, this is not sponsored in any case, just to let you know. So this is pretty much the end of the first part of this video. We discussed about the AXR4, its box, its packaging, what's contained in the package, and we also discussed about the front panel, the back panel, the top, and the connectivity, and how we can connect it to our computer, and if we need extra components if we don't have any Thunderbolt functionality installed already. On the second part of this video, we're going to discuss about software and the functionality and integration it has with Cubase.
Hey everyone! Well, I bet you didn't expect this ending, did you? Well, neither did I. So, I was editing this video last night and I realized I'm talking on the camera for about 78 minutes. 78 minutes for the AXR4. So I didn't have proper endings for these videos and I decided to make this thing. Yeah, thanks for being around. This is going to be like 4 parts for AXR4, 4-part review for this device. The longest one is the last one for the panel, which will go through the settings on the panel and everything. So thanks for being around. As always, you can support a Patreon, that would be great. If you can't, share the page and, like our page on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and yeah, we'll see you around next week. So yeah, have a good week.